the Daf Yomi, friends. We're on page 87 of Masechet Zevachim. What a beautiful view I've got right behind me here of the city of Bet Shemesh here. Actually in Nachal Tzeelim, in Ramat Shiloh territory over here. Beautiful. What a place to actually share over some words with regards to the daily page 187. That naturally pays on Masechet Zevachim, making fantastic progress. And go for a walk and share over some amazing Torah. Now friends, what we're talking about today, air rights over the altar. Now, air in Hebrew, in Ivrit, is avir, as we said before. As we learned, let's say, if we go back 4 days, on page number 83, and on yesterday's page, on page 86, as well, animals that are appropriate for sacrifice, for korbanot, will become fully sanctified if they are brought onto the altar or onto the ramp leading up to the altar. Even if there's a problem that would, let's say, ordinarily cause them to be disqualified for korban, for sacrifice respectively. Now the Gemara, friends, on today's page, let me just show you guys a view behind me, wow, of biblical Israel. Now, the Gemara on today's page of the Gemara raises the following question: does that rule apply to the air above the altar? That's the first question. If an animal that is disqualified from the sacrifice is placed over here above the altar, does it also become sanctified to the extent that it cannot be removed from the altar and must be sacrificed? These are questions we can pose straight away in this page. Now there's going to be a response to this question over here. The response is that the Gemara points out that the same law of Kevan she'alu shub lo yerdu. Once, let's say, they were elevated onto the altar, they cannot be brought down in spiritual plateau. So it's been elevated. Once you're putting on the Mizbeach itself, it's got this extra panache to it, an extra zenith to it itself. And let's say that they cannot be brought down, that one applies not only to the altar, but also now to the ramp leading to the altar as well. If the air above the ramp does not have the same level of holiness as the ramp itself, then how could such a sacrifice be transported to the altar over here? It doesn't make sense, friends. Once a Kohen, let's say the priest over here at this stage in time, let's say lifted it off the ramp, he would have, let's say, abrogated the rule that once the animal reaches the altar, it cannot be removed from it. Clearly the air above the altar has the same status as the altar itself, seemingly, from this over here, friends. Now the Gemara, the Talmud, is going to, let's say, reject this proof by arguing that the Kohen might have to drag the animal up the ramp, keeping it in physical contact with the ramp at all times. That's one of the arguments over here. Now in response over here, the Gemara points out that there was a gap between the ramp and the altar, and the Kohen, the priest, would surely need to lift the sacrifice at that point in order to transfer it from the ramp to the altar. This too, though, is going to be rejected by the Gemara, which argues that the gap was small enough that all times the majority of the sacrificial animal, was either on the ramp or on the altar. Now the Gemara concludes is that the air above the altar and the ramp has the same status as the altar itself. It's a position accepted by the Rambam as a halacha, where we obviously have to see the Mishnah, Torah respectively, in Hilchot, Hiskei, HaMizbeach, in chapter 3, number 12. Now, these excellent notes I'm taking from Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz. I want to add on about something so we can see about air, how we equate the air just being in the Mizbeach, in the Bet HaMikdash. What a potent and significant effect that actually has on giving statuses within regards to the Kedusha of various items. Anyone tuning in live at the moment, please subscribe to our channel. I wanted to add on a bit about what we said about yesterday on page number 86, which was a much shorter clip that we recorded over there. So friends, yesterday we were on page 86, which was a Pei Vav. So today's page 87 is really, like, let's say, a continuation of yesterday's page. We spoke about yesterday about the mistakes in the Bet HaMikdash, that mistakes could actually occur. You know, we're all human. There's that specific phrase that we could point out. And we saw in the first Mishnah of the Perek originally, this Perek, or in this chapter, let's say, I think it came actually in page 83, Aleph, which is very much pertaining to today's page of the Gemara, that we learned based on there was a passage in Sefer Shemot, I think in chapter 29, it was in verse number 37 over there. It teaches that, let's just say, anything that touches altar will become holy. So this is something that we have to know about, an important topic we have to know about here in today's pages of Gemara. Anything that we touch will become holy. So it just shows, let's just say, the imbuance of itself, of how important the holy items are in the Bet HaMikdash. That animals, let's say, that are appropriate for the sacrifice will become fully sanctified if they are brought onto the altar, even if there is a problem, let's just say, that would originally cause them to become invalid for korban, for sacrifice. Now, the Mishnah we saw on yesterday's page extends that law to other cases. Over here we learn that this same rule applies to the ramp leading up to the altar, the kevesh as well, as we say it over. Similarly, I think the Bet HaMikdash vessels, the Tzeelim, it's also known as the Kli Sharet, also will serve a similar function, and anything that enters them will become sanctified. Now, I think the source for this is a passage referring to the vessels of the tabernacle, of the Mishkan respectively, that teaches that the vessels become sanctified and that all that comes in contact with them become sanctified as well, as we've learned about in chapter 30 in verse 29 in Sefer Shemot. I think that's actually in Parashat Truma Tzitzah, but I'll have to double check on that. Now, in truth, not everything that comes in contact with these things becomes sanctified. Just like we saw the first mission in the Perek makes clear that this law does not apply to everything that is brought to the altar, but only to animals that are ro'oi lo. This happens to be. Those are appropriate for sacrifice. Similarly, the only things that become sanctified from contact, let's say with the kevesh of it, the ramp, or the kli sharet, are things that are ro'oi lahem, something that is fitting for this thing itself respectively. Thus, as we see in the next Mishnah, I think I'm going to see in tomorrow's page, in page number 88a, explains, for example, that the vessels of the Bet HaMikdash that are used for liquids, for example, blood, wine, oil and water, will not sanctify solids that are placed in them. And those that are used potentially for solids, for example, if we're talking about flour, that will not sanctify liquids that are placed in them. Now, I think there's another caveat that is actually brought about by Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz over here, in his excellent notes over here, which I recommend. It's actually featured on the OU website. His caveat that should be noted is the idea that there is, over here, a difference between the type of sanctification that is conferred on the things that are brought to the altar or its ramps, as opposed to things which are placed on the temple vessels. Now, we conclude that once a sacrifice, once a korban is brought to the Mizbeach, to the altar, or to the kesh, which we've spoken about on various occasions, it cannot be removed and is sanctified. It's got that kedusha, that holiness at that stage in time. On the other hand, when something is placed on a kli sharet, it is not fully sanctified. It simply can no longer be redeemed over here. So very, very interesting. There are great notes over here, and encapsulations here from Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz here inside the daily tidbits of the Daf Yomi. He gives actually on the OU website. He actually, I think, has compiled a brilliant Koran set editions of Gemaras over here, which really, let's say, has an entire breadth of many great notes, and they illustrate with pictures and different happenings within regards to the daily Talmud, which I will recommend everyone to actually purchase over here. Now, friends, we've already done nearly 3 months we've covered of material of the daily page of Daf Yomi over here on Masechet Zevachim, which is a phenomenal achievement over here. We've been talking, it's been like an encyclopedia within regards to korbanot sacrifices. This entire tractate has, as we explained what to do, where to actually do the sacrifices, which animals can be sacrificed, what are the different kinds of sacrifices are, what are the different kinds of korbanot. We've learned all about this already since we, let's say, started the term of recording all these videos. We explored the Ola sacrifice, the burnt offerings, the sin offerings, the guilt offerings. We even have like a Thanksgiving offerings that we learn about, which is always very inviting when there's something that involves with the topic of gratitude and thanks, which I also have to point out here at the moment, and so on and so forth. So really encompassed much, and we've really done a lot at the moment within regards to that. So I recommend everyone to check out, to learn. It's like this encyclopedia here, and it's very much intertwined, all these pages of the Gemara with the book of Vayikra, especially in Parashiyot of Vayikra and Sal. We've spoken about those are the first 2 Parashiyot in the book of Vayikra. That's something I will definitely point out at the moment, and something I have to say so. It's absolutely phenomenal achievement that we're doing at the moment. And there's Rat Hashem, but we are going to record more at the moment. And so I recommend everyone, if you're tuning in live at the moment, please subscribe to the channel over here to join our community and, just gain the wisdom and importance of learning. Let's say a daily page of the Gemara every single day, how important it happens to be, because the whole world at the moment is learning every single day tidbits within regards to the daily Daf Yomi. So we're really not just part of one, or however many people are watching this and are learning and growing from these videos. It's not just exclusively one person or a group of 10 people or 100 of us or 1,000 of us that might be watching these videos. It's really, we are part of a much bigger community where there's maybe 100,000 plus people across the world watching these videos live, which makes it much more exciting and much more inviting, let's just say, in of itself. So we actually visited, I think if you look in the channel itself on, we did a tour in Jerusalem. I think it was about, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was about 3 months ago, where we actually went all over Jerusalem and we filmed, and there was a roundabout of the famous founder of the Daf Yomi movement where we spoke about him. And it was actually a roundabout in his name. And there's also, if you look back at some of the video content we filmed in Beitar, at the entrance of the city of Beitar. We filmed a special roundabout with Daf Yomi, if you remember the big books over there of the Daf Yomi, and it actually talks about the founder of the Daf Yomi, or the person that starts up this great initiative, and about his various teachings also, which I very much recommend everyone to actually watch over those videos. So friends, I'm gonna just grab a small coffee at the moment. We'll check out the selections over here. I'm not going to get... Is Cafe Apuchim Kezevet? Okay. It's just for all you guys to see, just a collection of just in a fruit plate at the moment. So nothing like the fruits of Israel. You can see different selection of fruits. The vitamin C's over here. Very important if one is having a frozen yogurt or yogurt itself. We're actually coming into Tu B'Shvat, exactly just under 2 months away it is. So that's obviously the 15th of Shvat respectively. So that it's coming up quite soon, friends. Over here you can see the fruits of Israel. Nothing like it. Friends, anyone tuning in live, please subscribe to the channel, as we are doing daily tidbits every single day. I'm getting some wisdom, a burst of wisdom here inside the daily page of the Daf Yomi. So I will also, not just on that, on this channel, we record videos about historic videos of great rabbis of yesteryear. We're exploring another exciting topic that we're doing at the moment, is we're exploring the history of Jewish communities of various countries across the globe, which is something else I very much have to point out that we're doing at the moment over here. So really exciting. And probably the most exciting part of the channel is that we record over here every single day a video with interesting Jewish rabbinic personality, where they give over a burst of wisdom, let's just say, for maybe 2 or 3 minutes on something inspirational on a current topic in itself. Cafe Apuchim Ketzefet. Ken, so that's something else interesting that's coming up. So friends, wishing all the Shavua tov and Baruch. We are coming in to the Parsha, the Torah portion next week of Vayeshev. We just came out of Parshat Vayishlach this week, and it's going to be the 9th Parsha in the book of Bereshit coming up at the moment. So very, very exciting. So one of the important mitzvot there is to do, especially by Shabbat, we finish Shnaim Mikra v'Chatzar, going to do the whole Parsha twice to read over the Hebrew text, and once with the textual Bible information of Unclus, the translation of Unclus. That's what many people will actually do in the same night. So everyone, please, you tune in live, subscribe to the channel, join our community. We're nearing 8,000 members, and enjoy. And thanks everyone for watching. I wish you all a Shavua tov and a great day. Thank you.